Today's question is, can God reconcile your broken family? We're in Genesis 33, and we've been building up to this for a long time. Jacob finally meets Esau. Jacob's scared half to death, but God's about to show him that when he goes before you, even your biggest fears have to bow. In verses 1 through 3, Jacob prepares for the worst. Jacob looks up, he sees Esau coming, and he ain't alone. He's got 400 men. Jacob's still thinking Esau might be ready for war. He splits up his family, putting the servants and their kids first, and Leah and hers, and finally Rachel and Joseph last, protecting who he loves most. But here's the key. Jacob don't hide. He steps out front, and he bowed to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. Humility, not pride, leads the way. Verses 4 through 7, we see Esau's unexpected response. Now, here's where the story turns. Then Esau runs to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they both wept. Mercy showed up. Instead of fighting Esau, he forgives. Instead of fists, there's hugs and tears. God melted Esau's heart before Jacob even got there. God went ahead of Jacob just like he promised. Then Jacob introduced all his family, his wives, his kids. Everybody comes and bows before Esau. In verses 8 through 11, we see these gifts and grace. Esau asked, "And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came?" Jacob says, "They're a gift, trying to make peace." Esau says, "Keep what you have, my brother. I have plenty." But Jacob insists. He's like, "Please take this gift, for God has been very gracious to me. I have more than enough." Jacob's saying, "I ain't blessed because I cheated. I'm blessed because God's been good." Esau finally accepts the gift, not because he needed it, but because he loved his brother. In verses 12 through 17, we see that they go their separate ways. So Esau offered to travel together, but Jacob politely declines. He says, "My children are young, and the flocks and herds have their young too. If they're driven too hard, even for one day, all the animals could die." Jacob's taking it slow. He's learning not to rush ahead anymore. Esau goes back to Seir. Jacob heads toward a place called Succoth. He builds a house and sets up shelters for his animals. In verses 18 through 20, Jacob settles and he worships. So later, Jacob makes it safely to Shechem and buy some land. And what's the first thing that he does? And there he built an altar and named it El Elohe Israel, God, the God of Israel. Jacob, now Israel, finally claims his new identity. He ain't just a runaway anymore. He's a man with a home and a God to worship. So what's Genesis 33 teaching us? First, God can soften the hardest hearts, even the ones you're afraid of. Second, humility beats pride every single time. And when you trust God, you don't have to manipulate or force things. And forgiveness is a miracle, and it shows up when God's working in both sides. Listen close. There's things you're scared to face. There's people you think you'll never get right with. Things, problems, you think they're bigger than you can fix. But if you walk in humility, trusting God's power, and move obediently, God will fight your battles for you. Some battles you ain't meant to fight with your fist. You're meant to face them with faith. So keep reading your Bible and don't be dumb.